Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. As many of you know, this is one of my favorite topics. I'm very passionate about strength training for life, injury prevention, and for performance in the sport of triathlon, and really any sport. A lot of us started out as runners, and you see many runners who could benefit from at least some core training, but full body strength training as well. Again, to prevent injuries and just be a stronger, more resilient athlete. So let's get started. First, just some of the general benefits of strength training for a triathlete is for performance. So strength training, and we'll talk about the various types, will make you a stronger and faster athlete if it's done properly, and if it is periodized through your training season. So that's important as well, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Injury prevention, you're building stronger muscles, and we work on a lot of single leg and balance exercises, and that will help strengthen your stabilizer muscles around some of your weaker joints, around all your joints, but especially those joints that we tend to see a lot of overuse injuries and things like that. Metabolic efficiency, you'll build more lean muscle, which will help your body be a more metabolically efficient fat burning machine. So that's what we like. That's really beneficial to any distance of triathlon. So for the Ironman, you definitely want to be more efficient at fat burning. But even for the shorter distance, when you're working in the higher heart rate zones, the being metabolic efficient is going to make you a stronger athlete and also help you raise the bar. So break through potential barriers or ceilings that are created from not training in the proper zones. So the other thing, obviously, is physical appearance. So a lot of us like strength training for those reasons. It's kind of fun to see how you can change your body through strength training. Let's see. Okay, here we go. And then types of training. Functional strength, which a lot of you come to my Monday morning class. And that has, we do a lot of different things in there, but we do mostly functional strength, and that includes using a lot of those toys, what I call them, the body weight, using your body weight, which is not a toy, but using your body weight, resistance bands, TRX straps, which are also using your body weight for resistance, stability balls, med balls, and all the other different types of toys that we use in class. The weightlifting I'm referring to as dumbbells, which we do some of that too, using the dumbbells and the benches and barbells. So we do, especially in off season, we do a little bit heavier weight. I'll have you all challenge yourselves with a little bit heavier weight. So that's kind of what I classify as good weightlifting. Olympic lifting is also good, but it's definitely has a lot of technique to it. So it's something to learn. And again, that's something that you would likely emphasize in the off season, not as much in season, just because of the injury, the risk of injury. But someone who's really has great form with Olympic lifting could keep up some of the training in season as well. But most of you, I don't think, do Olympic lifting. Agility training. Agility, and sometimes people use agility and plyometrics interchangeably, but they're similar. So agility, I'll just kind of give you the definition, is the ability to explosively start, decelerate, change direction, and accelerate, again, while maintaining body control and minimizing a reduction of speed. So that would be agility. An example of that, and actually there's a great picture on this slide of the agility ladder. This is a quadruple agility ladder, but the people are moving from side to side on that agility ladder. So something like that would be agility training. And I happen to have an agility ladder that I should pull out and bring to the track. So plyometrics is a little bit different, is defined as exercise involving repeated rapid stretching and contracting by jumping and rebounding to increase muscle power. So, and that I would say you can do different plyometrics with the agility ladder, and then also squat jumps, things like that, doing a burpee with a jump at the end. So anytime there's any kind of jumping, or like the single leg step ups that we do, and I'll have you add a jump depending on who you are. I may have you add a jump to it at the top. Those would all be forms of plyometrics. So it's really just adding that jump, and it can be very beneficial, again, for strengthening feet, ankles, and you can do it with upper body too, but for strengthening around the joints and and giving you more power, again, making you a more powerful athlete. Yoga and Pilates, I really like to promote yoga. It's hard to fit it in season, I know. And with strength training, all of this we're talking about. But it is great to be able to do yoga once a week in season at least. And then off season, if you can incorporate it more than that, that's great. But I know there are a lot of other things to fit in. It's just, it can really benefit you and increase flexibility, which we all could use a little bit more of. And then Pilates is, some people also think Pilates is very similar to yoga. And it can be in some of the movements, but Pilates is more about the smaller movements for strength and core training. So I look at yoga as kind of more of a spiritual thing, depending on the instructor and the class. But sometimes that can be more mentally spiritual and relaxing. Again, depending on the type of class, as some yoga classes are really tough. So depending on the type that you like, and those can all be beneficial too. Pilates is great for core training as well. So different types of training that are not so good, in my mind, or in my opinion, I should say, CrossFit. I did CrossFit a long time ago, and I loved it. It was so much fun. I was a little bit younger then, and so much fun, and just very competitive environment, high energy environment. But it's dangerous because you have a class of a lot of people, and sometimes the goal is to fit in as many of whatever exercise you're doing, as many as you can in a certain amount of time. So I've seen that lead to poor form and injury. And then you have people that may have biomechanical issues or injuries that probably shouldn't be doing box jumps, and they're doing box jumps, and they can hurt themselves a lot worse. So a lot of low back injuries I've seen in CrossFit. So a lot of the exercises and plyometrics and things that they do in those classes can be beneficial, but the way that they sometimes mix them up, and if you have an instructor that's not able to spot poor form or doesn't correct poor form, then it can just be very dangerous. So I understand that it's fun and it's something different to do in the off season, but just be aware, if you choose to do CrossFit, talk to me first and choose a respectable place and understand the risk involved. Bodybuilding, see the picture of Arnold on our slide. Compliments of Jennifer. Bodybuilding is truly more of that type of weightlifting. So to increase mass, to work on specific muscle groups. And I have worked with bodybuilders before. I've had a couple of bodybuilders. I should say ex-bodybuilders. So when they're training for triathlon, they're not able to compete and do what they did when they were doing their bodybuilding. But they're tight. They don't have much flexibility. So that type of weightlifting can be detrimental for a triathlete, just knowing. And I have some people, guys and gals, who really like doing the strength training and understand that it does make them less flexible. So we incorporate a little bit more stretching during the strength training, and as well as stretching sessions outside of that, just to kind of make sure that they're able to move well in the swim, bike, and run. Plyometrics can be dangerous, although I said I like them on the previous slide, they can be dangerous, just as I suggested in CrossFit. If they're not done properly, if there's some kind of nagging pain or potential injury coming on, it could definitely exacerbate the problem. And if somebody has, weak feet or ankles or something like that, I proceed with caution when using plyometrics. So I would say it's not something you want to just try. If you have bad knees, it can be really bad. It can make bad knees worse. So we do plyometrics just a little bit, and we'll do more of them in the off season, but very carefully, and certain people may not do them at all. So again, just knowing that they can be risky for triathletes. So working strength training into your annual training plan can be, it's pretty straightforward, because you figure if in season, if you were doing 4 days of strength training and you were trying to fit in 3 bikes a week, 3 runs a week, and 3 swims a week or something like that, let's say, that would be pretty tiring. You'd be fighting recovery a lot. So you'd be running, biking, and swimming probably pretty slowly and not recovering from your workouts. So if you think about periodizing your strength training, kind of as we talked about periodizing your nutrition and your other training. So when you're in the off season is a great time to work on those things, which I call the base phase. The base phase is for any athlete who is, that's a great time to work on weaknesses, to work on, we'll call it the off season as well, a time that you can start lifting more weights and building that strong, powerful body for the spring and triathlon season. So base phase is a great time. Build phase, I would say, is also a great time for the any of the strength training. And yoga and Pilates, I left out on there just because the build phase is going to be more like sports specific. That's hard to say. Strength training and doing exercises, which I'll refer to in a later slide, based on each sport. So especially if you have a specific weakness, or you're an injury prone runner and we need to work on a lot of single leg strength or lower body strength or hip power, then we'll focus on that in your build phase. We'll still do stretching, absolutely, and maybe yoga would be your stretch day, but that's why I left those out. Peak phase, yoga and Pilates should be fine, but that is a time where you're gearing up for your race. So it's kind of when you're getting ready for your taper. So you don't want to do any strength training. I think that's my opinion as a coach. No strength training during your taper. And then transition is the time after your race. I usually love jumping back into functional strength once my body's recovered from my race. And then yoga and Pilates always feels good. So weightlifting, all the other heavier lifting and plyometrics, when you're recovering and transitioning from one race to another, or from one race into another build phase or something like that, your body will be tired and you need to take that time to recover. So that's why I said yoga and Pilates, which can be strength training as well. So next I talked about the movement specific exercises for each sport. So for instance, the swim, and these are just a few of many exercises that I have in each list in my bank of exercises. So we do a lot of these in our class. But plank row, you can kind of see how that could benefit you in swimming. The leg lifts with the flutter kick, I think that's pretty obvious how that could benefit you in swimming and building a stronger kick and stronger core. And the lat pull down. This guy, I can't really tell. It looks like he's leaning back a little bit. So sometimes you'll see people lean back on the lat pull down machine, and they can utilize more of their back muscles, more of their mid back, and really all their back muscles. So the more you can sit up straight on that lat pull down, you'll really feel your lat muscles working, which are kind of they start kind of under your arm, on your sides, and go down to almost to your waist. Well, they do go down to your waist, but you'll feel them more like right under your arm. And those are the muscles that you want to be using in swimming. I say want to be because some people use their shoulders more than they should, and we try to get away from that by finding those lat muscles. So that's another great exercise to find that muscle and feel it. That's the muscle that you want to be using when you're swimming. So those are great swimming ones. Bike, I love these. The single leg deadlift, I love. You can use 2 weights like this gal in the picture, or you could use 1. And then I'll even add at the top of the single leg deadlift, I'll add knee up and overhead press to add a little bit more balance to that exercise. And that's a little bit advanced, so you could always stop in between and then do your knee up and weight overhead, like overhead press. So if you look in the picture when she's bent over though, her left hip is popped up a little bit. You want to keep your hips square to the floor. So, and her leg is, I like a just slight bend in that knee. So the leg is straight, but not locked out like hers is. Plank up down, that's a great one. So coming from your elbows up to your hands and going up and down like that. So the important thing to remember in that, and you can't really see yourself doing, but pay attention to your hips. So you want your hips to stay in line with the rest of your body. So it makes it easier if you lift your hips up. So try to avoid that, and you'll really feel your core engage when you're doing those. Spider-Man's, that's the gal to the right on the purple mat. Her left leg is coming forward. I like to do them, and we do these in class quite often because they're just great. It's great functional strength, and also you get a super stretch with them. And you'll see less flexible people can't do this, but I like to get that foot all the way up to the hand and actually step it next to the hand if possible. If you can't get that far, that's fine. Do it as far as you can, and it's something to work up to. And you can actually do these also in transit. So we'll move across the room doing Spider-Man. So you'll step the foot up and then walk the hands forward, then step the other foot up and walk the hands forward, etc. It's kind of, I'd say it's kind of a fun exercise. I use that a little bit loosely. But those are some great ones for the bike, but for also all over body strength. Okay, and these are run specific. This is probably my favorite, is the step up, knee up. You can really, and this is the guy in the bottom left, you can really fire that knee up at the top. And that's where you can actually catch a little air on the foot that's on the bench. You want to make sure you step up with a full foot on the bench like he's doing. You don't want your heel hanging off the back. That puts a lot of stress on your Achilles and arches. So driving that knee up, arms, runner arms. So arms pump as you pull that knee up and maybe catch air depending on how confident you are with that and how strong you are. And then pistol squat. There are a couple different ways to do a pistol squat. This one is more of like a single leg squat. And then we just Monday did one where you put your foot on the back bench and then you lunge with the forward leg. So there are a couple different variations of that, but that's great. You could also do it holding onto a TRX band if you're weak in this. The guy to the right, that's very difficult to do, but you could work up to it by using a TRX strap to hold onto for support. Walking lunges are super for running and for every sport, core strength, leg strength, everything. You can do them with or without weight. You could do them holding one weight up above your head or holding a stability ball and adding a twist. There are a lot of different great variations that you can do, but making sure that your lunge, your form is perfect on all of these is really important. The walking lunge, you can see her knee does not come out over her toes. It's pretty much in line with her toes, but it doesn't come out over, so her knee is safe there. But walking lunges are fantastic. So those are some great examples of sports-specific exercises that you can do. Okay, next is some of my favorites are in functional strength or kettlebell. I love the kettlebell, but again, it can be dangerous if not done properly. It's really hard to get people to just let it swing rather than trying to control it. But you can see the guy to the left is just doing a regular kettlebell swing. And that's just a great, gets your heart rate up, and it's a great for actually builds your lower body, but you really don't feel a muscle that you're not working when you're doing kettlebell swings. TRX straps are fantastic. So they're doing kind of a push. It looks like they're getting ready to do a push-up in this picture. I like the push-ups. The more vertical your body, the easier it's going to be. So you can take someone who's not used to strength training and start them on a TRX. Then they just use their body weight as the weight. So it's great for that. It's also, it will kick your stabilizers into gear. So rather than doing just a regular push-up on the floor, doing the TRX push-ups will also work stabilizers. You'll shake a little bit, your shoulders and arms will shake, but that's good. You're working little fine muscles that you can't work as much on a steady surface. So, and there are a lot of great things that you can do with TRX. You could do a whole entire workout with it, but I like to mix it in, just to add some variety. And the stability ball, I like. You can do so many different great things with those. It can, a lot of full body workouts. If you just do 3 different exercises, you could probably work your full body on just the stability ball. And I also am a fan of using those as a desk chair. So some people who've had a lot of back problems will use those as a desk chair even for part of the day and find relief and actually build strength in their back while they're sitting at their desk. So Bosu, which is the gal in the bottom middle, those are great flipped over like she's doing as creating an unstable surface again, which is going to give you, again, work your stabilizers and make it a little bit more advanced. Med ball is the guy down to the right. So, and then heavier weights. I also like to do heavier weights in the off season for specific body parts. So in let's say the walking lunge, or I like to do more of a, let's say a goblet squat with heavier weight. So something that's going to be a little safer than a walking lunge, but those that have good form could definitely add weight to their lunges, just as an example. Overhead presses, that type of thing too, but we'll do single arm overhead presses. We'll do a lot with the pulley machines. Bands are great too, to mix in. The resistance bands are great, especially for swimming. More on strength in sports. So on the swim, using hand paddles can create kind of a strength workout resistance. It adds resistance to your pull. So it will absolutely give you a stronger pull, especially if you're using good form. It can hurt your shoulders. So something to be careful of, but it can help you feel that lat muscle too and use it properly. Fins are great for creating resistance in the water and help you build a stronger kick and also build ankle flexibility. Both really helpful in having a more efficient kick for triathlon and endurance swimming. Drag suit. The guy in the bottom it's kind of a bigger suit. So you'll see some guys that wear a bigger suit over their other suit. You can wear a t-shirt. You could wear regular, swimming trunks, or, gals could wear a t-shirt, and that creates drag. So it is, again, it's like adding weight kind of to the swim. So it makes it harder. So then when you take it off, you're faster, ideally. So those are some ideas. Strength in sport on the bike. So in sport, climbing hills will absolutely give you strength. Doing low cadence intervals, which are kind of like hills inside, you add gears and, or depending on the system that you're using, you add resistance and then lower your cadence. So it's like you're climbing a hill, but that will create more power in your legs and give you more strength on the bike. Also, I didn't mention rollers. So back to the bike, I should have mentioned rollers. So, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you look up bike rollers, you'll see that it's an indoor training system, but you put your bike on it, and you have to really truly balance on it and get your wheels moving, or you'll fall off. very difficult, but once you get it, it's fantastic because you're using lots and lots of core to stay on the rollers. And you're using a lot of your stabilizer muscles as well. So take a peek at that. I should get a set of rollers for you all to try. Okay, run, strength and sport in running. And we've been doing a lot of these great things at the track. Just to try to build some more strength in our running. A lot of people are doing running events over the winter and run series. So I'm mixing in some run power for these people, really for everyone. So hills obviously are going to make you stronger. I like them because they'll help strengthen your hip flexors and help give you those high knees. For me, that will help prevent me from tripping and falling on the trails. So that's one reason I really like to do hills. And I also like to do steps. I didn't mention steps, but the steps at Parkway West are great. But doing some steps, quick steps after the track, fast feet, you're raising your knees. So again, it's going to promote higher knees while you're running, and also faster. It will make you a faster runner. Tire pulling, I like to do that because, and not necessarily pushing a stroller like the guy in this picture, but tire pulling, which some of you have done also at the track. We'll be doing it next week if weather dependent. But that not only adds power and weight resistance to your run when you're doing it. We don't do it for long distances, but when you're doing it, it's really difficult, but it also puts you in great running form. So it gives you that forward body lean from your ankles up if you're looking forward, and it's fantastic. So as soon as I unhook the tire and you keep running with that perfect form, people really do feel the difference in wow, it's forward momentum when you have that slight lean from your ankles up. Resistance pants, we had our Agogi rep come by last yesterday, and bring some of the new women's fit Agogi resistance pants. So you'll see in the picture, those I think are the Agogi, and they have kind of a elastic band that run through the pants, a few elastic bands, I believe, on each leg, but they're really cool. And then stirrups down at the bottom that will hold the pants on your feet. So it's true. It adds a lot of resistance. It makes it harder. I mean, my heart rate went up a lot higher, and then when you take them off, it's like, wow, you're free. So it's really a neat concept. So I look forward to using those a little bit more to see if I like them, and I'll share them with you all this winter. But I think they could really, really help build strength. So nutrition, as you're adding more strength training to your training regimen, or I'm adding it to your training schedule, it's important to know that you're creating a lot of muscle breakdown. So you really do need to focus on your protein intake for rebuilding. So, and water. So the more protein that I take in, the more water I drink. I feel like you need a little bit more, or a lot more, I should say, water, maybe 32 ounces more. And that's, again, my opinion, and antioxidants. And I'm not saying you have to go take a bunch of vitamins, but antioxidants, meaning all different colors of vegetables. So colorful vegetables, berries, things like that have great antioxidants in them. So think of it as when you lift weights, when you work out, you're creating it's oxidation. So it's almost like ashes in the fireplace, and you need to clean those out every once in a while to keep it working right. Same with your body. You need to clean the oxidation out of your body to keep it working right and to keep you well and not sick. So antioxidants, meaning good, healthy fruits and vegetables, are a great source. So more muscle, and how much? I mean, more muscle. Yeah, you will have more muscle, but you'll need more protein. So I have some guidelines in here on how much protein you need per day. And then if you're training hard, then obviously it'll be more. But this slide will tell you a little bit more, and I'm not going to read it to you. You will receive this webinar in an email if you signed up for this. So we will get that to you, but let me know if anybody ever has any questions individually on your nutrition as you change your training phase in periodization. Okay, some of the best sources of protein, and I think we've all seen these lists ad nauseum, but I thought it was important to talk about it. Especially, we have some people that eat less meat or are vegetarians. So if you are that person, then just making sure that you're paying attention to the protein that you're getting, because it is a little bit more of a challenge to get it. So you all can read this list, but I am a believer in eating meat. I have gone through phases where I tried vegetarian and I found that I wasn't getting enough protein and it was just too challenging. So I'd rather get more protein in my food than taking supplemental protein all the time. So I do that too, just to make sure. But yeah, always food is the better option. So this slide is great. This lists some of the great plant sources, plant proteins. So peas are fantastic. You can put them on your salad. You can mix them up with some rice or, whatever. I like them just plain steamed, yummy. And then lentils are great. You can make lentil soups. You could do lentils and quinoa together. Spinach, you can put spinach in your eggs. You could do spinach salads, easy. Put it on sandwiches, put it on tacos instead of lettuce, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these are great protein sources for our vegetarians, or for people who just eat less meat. I know some people just prefer vegetables. So I thought this was interesting. In some of my research, I found these great 3 ex-pro triathletes, and they truly are triathlon legends. If you've been doing triathlon as long as I am, then these should be very familiar names. But these are Hawaii Ironman winners. So all together, they've won 20 Ironman races. And the one thing that they had in common is that they all made strength training an important element of their triathlon training. So I thought that was really important to show you. And there's another slide here that talks a little bit more specifically about each of these guys. It looks like our words kind of went off of the slide, but anyway, this is Mark Allen, and let's see. Yeah, so he's talking about about it being a missing link for him. So he found that after he started adding strength training to his training, then I apologize for these slides. And this is Matt Fitzgerald. So he's also the author of How Bad Do You Want It? That's kind of a recent book that's been out that you probably have heard of. But yeah, I'll fix this slide before we send it out so you can read it. And then these are just some important tips that I wanted to make sure that I reminded everyone of. So strength training should only be done with your coach or a personal trainer if you have any doubts about your form, really any doubts. So, I mean, I see people in my classes sometimes confidently doing an exercise, and I run as fast as I can over to them to correct them. So sometimes you don't know you're doing it wrong. But if it doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't feel right, something hurts, then don't do it. Please don't do it, and ask me. And maybe I can give you either a modification, a different exercise that works the same body parts, or we just skip that exercise. So it's better to be safe. It's so easy to hurt yourself in strength training. It just takes one bad step or move and you can really hurt yourself. If you don't understand an exercise that's in Training Peaks that I give to you, you can check it on YouTube. Sometimes that's an easy way, and I find it fun. But or you can just ask me about it, and I can either send you a YouTube link or call you and explain the exercise. So it's that important. And then I talked about pain, anything negative, or if it just doesn't feel right, you're not sure what's working, it doesn't really make sense to you why you're doing it, then don't do it. And let me know, and maybe I can explain, or I should be able to explain. So always modifications or skip it. And then, and really truly think about it as a, a fourth discipline. So we have swimming, we have biking, we have running, and we have strength and stretch. I'll put those two together, but strength and stretch. And we can include foam rolling in that little bundle of strength and stretch. It is very important. So with that, I think you all understand now that I think a lot of you understood before that this is really important to me, and that I really truly believe that you can prevent injury, become a stronger, faster, more powerful athlete, and also reach higher goals. So I like strength training. And this slide is a little wonky too. So our next webinar will be Thursday, December 14th, and it is on building mental toughness and confidence for a successful 2018. So when I choose these topics, I kind of think about what's going on with all my clients, where are we in the season, what makes the most sense, and what I found is I have a lot of people who are, either raising the bar and trying to do a Olympic distance faster than they ever have, or they're doing their first half Ironman or their first half marathon, or yes, we do have some first Ironman people coming up in 2018, which is very exciting. But they're thinking, what do I do now? What do I need to do? When does my training ramp up? Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to juggle it with family and my life? And so those are some things that I just want to kind of put your worries at ease and start working on those things now. So I think that will be a great topic, but I'm open to other topics, and I always take opinions. And I really appreciate those of you who do sign up for these webinars, and feel free to ask questions afterwards anytime via email or give me a call. Okay, so thank you all again, and happy strength training.